Let's assume that you are going to an interview. It would probably be a good idea to try to practice and think up as many interview questions as possible and then answer those questions. The reality is there's a lot of interview questions. You can be asked any number of things, but really when it comes down to it, there's really only a couple of questions in any interview that really are kind of the most important ones. And so the idea is to make sure that you understand, first off, after looking at all the possible questions, coming down to the ones that you think are probably most important that you really need to make sure that you've practiced in order to, ensure a job offer. The same is true with debate. And the reality is with just like interviews, and I'm going to use that as my example, some questions are more important than other questions. It's the same in debate. Some issues are more important than other issues. And this brings us to an important aspect in debate, and that is the concept of stock issues. So a stock issue, defined, is an issue that needs to be addressed, proven, and/or refuted in order to win the debate. In other words, you wouldn't go to an interview, a job interview, and not get asked the question, what's your greatest strength and greatest weakness? You'd notice that something was missing. Or if they didn't ask you about past work experience, you would feel like, wait, I practiced that, why didn't they ask me that? So it's the same in a debate. You want to make sure that you're covering the issues that both your opponent is going to bring up and also what the audience is going to want to hear or expect to hear, and ultimately what the judge is going to vote on. So there are different types of stock issues. So there's 4 types basically. The first type is what are called potential issues, and a potential issue includes all the possible issues you could come up with. So just like a job interview, if you were to create a list of how many questions they could possibly ask you, you could probably come up with at least 65, 70, 75 questions. So potential issues are just like that. It's like brainstorming to come up with, is there any big thing that I'm missing here? Once you've done that, then you at some point sit down with a partner or an opponent or by yourself, and you run through a list of and cross out then admitted issues. So an admitted issue is defined a couple of different ways. It could be an issue that you and your opponent agree that you don't need to debate. It might be an issue that you both agree on and therefore don't really need to prove. It might be an issue that neither of you feels is really very important to the main topic, that it's it's interesting to talk about, but it isn't necessarily going to win anybody any votes from the judge. After that then, so once you've started paring down your list and crossing out all of the admitted issues that you think, you know what, this either A isn't very important, or B, we're never going to get to it because we just don't have time, or the audience doesn't really need to hear this, or you and I agree and so we don't need to debate it anyway, then you come down with the list of real issues. So the real issues are the pared down list that you started with when you created as many possible issues as possible. How many more times can I say possible in a sentence? Probably not more. So now we're up to finally what are called ultimate issues. So the ultimate issue, or ultimate issues, usually more than one, are the 1 or 2 issues, or maybe 3, that will help you win the debate. And it's kind of like in a job interview, it's that one question that you nail. And it's like, yes, I have this job, or I have this internship based on this answer right here. So let me show you how this works. So I'm just going to run, this would be something we would do in class, but I want to spend time doing other things in class. So let's say that the topic is women are superior to men. Now you'll learn about these concepts of the affirmative and the negative. I'll talk about those next week, but just know that you will get to that. So we've got here, there's some pictures to help you remind you which side is which. So the affirmative side is affirming or agreeing with the statement that women are superior to men, and the negative side saying nuh-uh. And there are a couple of ways that the negative can approach this. We'll get into that also later. We're right now going to generate potential issues, or at least a slide's worth of potential issues. So that means if we look at potential issues as the first, when we have things like women live longer, women are more in touch with their feelings, women can give birth, women can multitask, women take care of children, etc., etc., etc. I mean, this is a very, very small list, but you could go into, lots of detail on all the possible issues you could bring up with in terms of why women might be superior to men. And then we do the flip side on the negative side. So each side does their own list of potential issues. It's probably not a bad idea, though, to try to anticipate what are the potential issues on the opposite side. And so for the negative, it might be things like this. Men are more logical. Men have fewer doctor visits simply because they just don't go. Men can pee standing up. You would be amazed how many times this comes up in a debate. So that's why I included it there. Some people use it as a reason why men are superior. Men also earn higher wages. They're paid more and generally are more respected in many fields, and then et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So just assume this has like 30 issues on each side. That would be your list of potential issues. Then we come up to the admitted issues. And again, these are the ones that the affirmative and the negative have decided we don't need to go here. So for lack of any other reason, I'm going to take out the et ceteras, et ceteras, et ceteras. We'll assume whatever they were, both sides said, you know what, those really aren't the big ones. We're just going to sort of ignore those. And while we're at it, let's go ahead and take out that women are in touch with their feelings. Not sure that's really any gauge to superiority. And also, while we're at it, let's go ahead and take this one out. Okay, so now what we have is a list of real issues. So we've got 4 issues left on the affirmative side. We have 4 left on the negative side. No, they don't have to equal the same. I'm just doing that to make it easy. And so this is the list now that you might research. This is the list that you might investigate. And then from there, figure out what might be the ultimate issues. And the ultimate issues are, again, the ones that you think are going to help you win the debate, which is dependent on who the judge is or who the judges are, really. So just for sake of argument here, I'm going to say that the biggest issue on the affirmative side was women live longer. And I'm going to say on the negative side, the biggest issue is that men earn more money. Okay, they earn higher wages, they get paid more. Women still get paid about between 75 and 80 cents, I think, on every dollar. So that would be the ones that you would try to then push to a judge to say, Judge, these are the reasons why women are superior to men, or ultimately men are superior to women, is these particular issues, because you can't give everything equal weight. You simply don't have that much time. So moving on then, just to remind you, the affirmative side is saying women are superior to men, the negative side is saying nuh-uh, and they'll say one of 2 things. They'll either say men are superior to women, or they'll say men and women are equal. And we'll talk about that more when we talk about format. So again, here are the issues as a quick review. You have potential issues, which are all the possible ones you could think about or research. From there, of course, you don't want to spend that much time on any particular project. So you narrow it down. What are the ones we're clearly not going to talk about for a number of different reasons? Then we're left with real issues. And from there, what are the ones that are going to win me the debate? Because ultimately, that's the purpose of a debate, is to win. So with that, it is your turn to do it now. So once we get into the next round of speeches, you'll be doing the same kind of thing with your partner and also with your opponents.